In this place, how old are you?
14.
Mm-hmm. And notice the body that you have. Whose body is this that you're experiencing now?
I see a skinny gray body.
Mm-hmm. Very good, very good. Describe to me. Look down at your feet. What do your feet look like?
3 big toes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I have a round almond shaped head,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
black eyes that are big,
Yes.
four fingers,
Mm-hmm.
1 thumb,
Yes. 4 fingers and 1 thumb?
three fingers, 1 thumb.
Okay. And notice if you have any type of hair.
Smooth head.
Yes. And what does your body look like? What color is it? Is it dark gray or light gray?
It's kind of light gray.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And this body that you have, is it wearing any type of clothing?
I don't see any.
Mm-hmm. Yes. What's the most interesting part about your body?
I notice around my belly button midsection,
Yes.
there's kind of a little belly.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of my body is slim, slender.
Very good. And this body, is it male or female?
Feels male.
Very good. So now that we know what your body looks like, where are you? Begin to fill in the space around you. Are you indoors or outdoors?
Indoors.
Mm-hmm. So what do you notice first?
That it's dark.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like a dark blue.
Mm-hmm. And what do you imagine this place is where you are? If you knew.
Seems like a cave, but I'm feeling a ship.
Okay, very good. So I want you to begin to expand your awareness of this ship. Begin to see it from different eyes so that you can expand it out. Is anybody in that ship with you?
Yeah, it seems big.
Mm-hmm. Expand it even more so that you can get more details. What do you notice as you expand your awareness?
The whole ship is kind of the shape of a long triangle.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But it's not exactly a triangle. There's the back of the ship is kind of like almost like a shark fin.
Mm-hmm.
Not as dramatic.
Yes.
And it's black on the bottom and a lighter color on top.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And as you're looking at this ship, where is it? Expand the awareness even more.
It's in space.
Mm-hmm.
I get this word Moria.
Moria?
Yeah.
Very good. Moria, is that a celestial body, or is that the name of the ship? What is that, Moria?
Moria is a place.
Yes, tell me about Moria.
It feels like it might be not a planet, so maybe it's a galaxy or an area.
Okay? If you knew, even if you think you're making it up, tell me more about this. Just allow the information to flow.
I'm seeing like a landscape.
Tell me about that landscape.
There's no plants, but I see in the distance like a sun or a light, but it's like huge on the horizon. And there's a lot of smooth rocks, like the landscape it's rocky, but it doesn't seem like jagged rocks.
Yes.
And I see I don't know if there's water. There might be water there.
So let's do something. Take a very deep breath, and as you exhale, you'll be able to expand your awareness, your understanding.
I see pink on the horizon.
What is that, pink?
It's the sky. I guess I think from the way that the giant sun is, it looks like it's setting.
Yes.
I can only see maybe the top 30% of the sun, or this big light.
Yes.
And it's casting pink on the horizon in the sky, and then as it goes up, it turns to like an orange.
Very good. So as you're there, notice your body in this place. Is it the same as you saw before?
Yeah.
Very good. So what is the purpose of you being in this place?
Surveying.
Tell me what you do when you survey a place.
Collecting information about gases
Yes.
and maybe minerals, or I'm seeing like something to do with the rocks.
Yes. And how is it that you collect this information? What do you use?
I'm not seeing any equipment. I'm seeing like intuition or my mind, or
Yes.
something with physically touching it.
Okay. So what happens next? I'd like for you to advance to the next important scene. What do you do with this information?
I'm seeing like water, and the water is really hot.
The water is hot?
Yeah, like boiling.
And where is
Almost.
this water?
It's not like a lake. It's not like a large body of water, but it's deep. Like it's like the water is between the rocks and you can't see the bottom, but it's like do you imagine a puddle, but it's something the size of a puddle, but it goes down very deep.
Yes. And what is the significance of this boiling water here? What has caused this?
I think it's just coming up from the cracks in like the crust of the planet,
Yes.
and it has like crystalline properties to it.
Very good. And what are you doing with this water?
I feel like it can be ingested. Obviously not hot, not when it's hot. But I see like white, like crystalline something in the water that's like a white
Yes.
crystalline type structure that is maybe collected from the water, and maybe the crystal is like purified out of it.
Very good. So what happens next? What do you do?
I'm collecting it.
Yes. Yes, continue. What happens when you collect it? What do you do with it?
It's used for health in some way.
Yes.
Like oxygenates the body.
Yes.
But I'm feeling like there's something in the water that's alive.
All right. Let's find out about that a little bit more. What is this substance that's alive in the water?
It's a creature.
Yes.
It's long, like it goes down deep, and it has like a head to it, and there's it's kind of like a worm, but it's big,
Yes.
and the tip of the head is basically like a mouth, and it has like many rows, like its mouth is like a cylinder, and there's many rows of small teeth that go around inside the mouth.
And this creature that is in the water, how is it affecting you?
I don't know it's there. And I'm feeling like it grabs my hand or something.
Yes. Keep going. What happens? Yes.
It like latches on, like just above my wrist,
Yes.
and it doesn't sever my hand, but it feels like it closes around it, and I like pull away, and it kind of like shreds like a lot of the skin off down to the bone.
Yes. Take a look at your hand. What does it look like when this happens?
I see skeletal structure and no skin on it.
Yes. What happens next?
It feels more like a burning and it's painful, but not as bad as I would think.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I'd like for you
And
to now continue to the next moment that's important there. What happens next?
I see myself inside the ship
Okay.
on like a medical table,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like white. The room is white,
Yes.
and there's like a gray or um, like a stainless steel almost looking like table.
Yes.
Um, and I'm on it, and there's a tall being. It feels female. Um, who's helping to heal it.
Yes. What is this being using to heal your hand?
Some kind of light. It it looks like a pinkish reddish. It's not red, but it's like maybe magenta looking
Yes.
light.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like just like scanning my hand, left hand.
Yes.
And I'm awake for all this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel any pain. And it feels like it's regrowing skin on my hand.
Very good. Look at your hand and see how this regrows.
It looks weird.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, like flaky.
Yes.
Like the skin was flayed, but this is somehow like adding skin there, but in a layered. It's layered on, and
Yes.
it even adds like a fingernail
Mm-hmm.
to the tip of the finger.
Wonderful. So I want you to focus your attention on this technology that is used to heal your hand. Tell me more about this.
When you asked that, I immediately got the word crystalline.
Mm-hmm.
Like its
Yes.
source
Yes.
is crystalline, but it's used. It's there's a apparatus like something that's emitting the light,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks almost mechanical,
Yes.
or some kind of housing that emits the light and then it's scanned over the body.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So let's close this scene now and let's move on to the next important scene of that life. 1, 2, and 3. Notice where you are.
Still feels like I'm on that ship.
Mm-hmm. Yes. What do you do when you're on that ship? Do you have any responsibilities?
I'm very intelligent. I go out off the big ship on little ships, on the smaller. It looks almost like a pod,
Yes.
but the pod has like an aerodynamic sort of fin that goes around the center of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I go out on these things and I collect information, and I bring it back to the ship, and that's basically what I do on the ship.
Very good. So I want you to notice if this body that you have ages.
It doesn't seem like it.
Mm-hmm.
At least it's very slow.
Very slow.
Yeah. I'm seeing hundreds of years.
Very good. And when we first started, you felt 14.
Yeah, and I feel small in stature.
Very good. And I want you to notice if there's anybody there on that ship that you recognize.
I think the being that was helping me
Yes.
is my sister Katie, my youngest sister.
Yes. Very good. All right, so let's do this. We're going now to go to a very major event that happens in that life. I'm going to count from 1 to 3. When I get to number 3, you'll be there. 1, 2, and 3. What's happening? Notice where you are first, if you're indoors or outdoors.
I feel outside.
Yes. What is this place?
I see a blue sky. There's grass.
Yes. Where are you?
Why am I here?
Just take a deep breath in. And as you release, just open up that awareness even more. I don't want you to analyze anything. I just want you to know.
I just keep seeing the sky. There's
Yes.
something white in the sky, far away.
What's the importance of this white thing in the sky?
It seems like there's more than one. Like maybe something flying.
Yes.
Like more ships, but smaller, and there's a lot of them.
Yes, continue. What's happening?
I'm getting the reptilian, and they're not friendly.
What's
And
happening?
they're shooting. They're shooting something. They're approaching with the intent of shooting.
Yes.
They don't like what we're doing.
What is it you're doing in this place?
This place seems more organic, and there's like plants and a lot more life than the last planet.
Yes.
We're doing something with animals. I'm seeing pine trees, something. Connecting with the wildlife in some way, but like telepathically.
Yes. And this place, what is it called? Does it have a name?
It's a lot similar. It's a lot like Earth, but it's not Earth. It starts with a C. Cyrillo, something like that. And the animals there are not like the animals on Earth.
What are they like?
They have like antenna structures that come out of their head, And they're like telepathic.
Hmm. Are they like insects?
Um, the one that I'm seeing seems more like a mammal,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not actually a mammal. It's some other classification of animal, but it would be most similarly related to like a My Little Pony. I'm getting My Little Pony,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yes.
that kind of um, thick, chunky limbs, but like looks like that, like a My Little Pony, and it's small.
Mm-hmm.
It has like a whitish skin, and it doesn't have a long snout like a pony. It has a shorter face,
Yes.
and they seem really happy. Like
Mm-hmm.
they they almost like smile.
Wonderful. So just take a moment to connect with this creature. What do you receive?
It tells us information about this planet, but like nature wise, structures, like microbiome. Um, it's very intelligent, but
Mm.
it's not like a human. It's almost like a cartoon, like a happy creature in a cartoon that is more like a child.
Mm-hmm. And it provides you the information you need for your experiment?
Yeah, it provides information about like the entire planet
Mm-hmm.
that it's on, like the at least in the area that it's in.
Yes, yes. So now that we have that, I'd like for you to let's move to the next important scene to see what happens. I'm going to count from 1 to 3. When I get to number 3, you'll be there. 1, 2, and 3.
Um, well, those ships that were in the distance flying towards us, um, they shoot. One of them shoots like a kind of like a laser, destructive kind of double beamed laser,
Mm-hmm.
like across the land, and essentially just destroys this creature instantly.
How do you feel about this?
Um, Really sad. I know, but I feel like I know who this was, who did
Mm-hmm.
this.
Yes.
It's kind of like, oh, it's them again.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I don't think that I'm harmed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm with somebody. I think it's the same being from that helped me earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Yes.
with me, and I'm getting age 30. I'm age 34.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So there's times passed, um, and it seems like they just like leave or they go away.
Very good. How does this affect you?
Um, I'm tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they they basically just go around. They're like anti like nature. They don't like any kind of environment that is symbiotic, that one thing helps the other, There's no predators on this planet. There's only symbiotic relationships between flora and fauna, and they hate that, anything that resembles that. And my crew, we absolutely love that, and we literally travel space to find places like this. And these other beings are always trying to destroy them.
Yes.
But
So
there's
this, yes, keep going.
there's like protection, sort like a energy around this planet, but these these beings can still like come in, but they can't like destroy it. Like they can't just go and like blow it up.
Okay, very good. Very good. So let's close this scene now. And now let's go to the end of your life in that lifetime. I'm going to count from 1 to 3. When I get to number 3, will be on the last day of your life. 1, 2, and 3. Notice where you are.
I'm getting the number 664. Mold, older.
Yes.
My body looks a little different. I'm like a brownish. I'm not gray.
Yes.
I'm feeling like burned or fried, not like from fire necessarily,
Yes.
but like internally, like heated up,
Yes.
singed, but like internally, and that's why I look brown.
Yes. So what
And
happens?
I think it was from those reptilian type of beings. They look large, like almost like a thick-bodied, like dragon-looking thing.
Yes.
And they shot me with something.
So when they shoot you, I want you to notice where your soul is when they shoot you.
It was right there, right, like hovering right outside my body.
Very good. So I want you to notice something now. Up until this moment, what's been the most difficult or traumatic part about this life?
I feel like I've had a really good life. I feel like pissed off. Because I like I love my beautiful work, and just pissed off that it's interfered with so much by these reptilian Draco. I get the word Draco beings.
I'm going to count from 1 to 5. And when I get to number 5, I want you to go where all of this begins, with this being before your death, to see how it is that this body was attacked. And this time I want you to see everything with detail. 1, going to the origin of when this began with them. 2, 3, 4, and 5. You're there now.
I do this in many lives. I travel to different planets and observe the nature.
Yes.
And these beings have always targeted me. They know
Yes.
that this is something that I want to occur throughout the universe. So we learn exactly how to how these symbiotic biomes are created and how they are sustained. And these beings always interfere with that. And it's been through multiple lives.
All right, so I want you to notice how it is that these beings are interfering with the life of Evan now.
With South.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I want you to follow when this all began with the health of Evan. I want you to follow it back. I want you to begin to feel the feelings. And notice what's happening with the body of Evan.
Corrosion, like a burning inside of acidic. His body's acidic.
Very good, very good. So let's find out how this body began to get acidic. I want you to follow it. Notice where you feel it. Yes.
I feel anger.
Yes, keep going. Go to the moment. Go to the moment of that anger. Where are you feeling that anger? Where are you?
Lyria.
Lyria. Yes.
And my planet was destroyed by these people. Lots.
Yes. Continue.
Lots of the people that I loved were killed.
And I want you to notice if you made any vows at that moment.
I vowed to never stop trying to get rid of them. To stop them from ever doing that again.
Yes. And within this vow, I want you to notice if you were able to set any boundaries, anything that you would not do.
Just feeling a lot of feelings, emotions.
Yes. Keep going.
I feel like I let my people down from this life.
Yes. And where did you store these emotions?
In my stomach.
Very good. So we're going to begin to dive deep into those emotions now. As I count from 3 to 1, I want you to go to where it is that you're holding all of these angry emotions. 3, dive into the body now. 2, getting deeper. And 1.
Maybe in my stomach, liver, pancreas.
Yes.
Area. That whole area.
Yes. What does it look like to you, all of these emotions?
Just a red. It's red there.
Yes. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to have you speak for the organ that is being most affected. Which organ is being most affected by all of this? The liver. Very good. So as I count from 1 to 3, let me speak with the liver. 1, 2, and 3. Liver, what is going on with you?
Pain. emotional pain stored here.
And what is that emotional pain doing to you?
Makes the body nauseous.
Mm-hmm. Liver, what is it that you need in order to feel better, to feel relief?
Detoxification.
Mm-hmm.
There's stones, greenish stones stored in the liver.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And what created these stones in there?
Anger.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So let me speak now with Evan. Switch. Evan, do you realize that all of this anger has created all of these stones in there?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Can you forgive yourself for bringing into this lifetime so much anger that it actually harms your body?
I can.
All right, very good. Let me speak with the liver. Switch. Liver, I want you to come up with a color that represents healing for you, so we can break through those stones and release that anger.
Light green.
Beautiful. So I'm going to strike a tuning fork now, just like when Evan saw himself in that ship, and they were using that light therapy to regrow all of that skin back. We're going to use sound therapy in order to release that anger and begin to heal all of your cell structures. Here we go. What is happening to all of that within the liver?
It's dissolving.
Very good. I'm striking it again. And let's see it get even better. And describe to me what's happening.
There's also a lot of sadness being released.
Yes. Yes. Tell me what's happening.
There's tension in the area, but it's
I'm going to strike it one more
releasing.
time. Yes, one more time. Release the anger. Release the sadness. Dissipated. What's happened?
It takes time for the cells to regenerate, but
Very good.
this allows it to occur.
Very good. And now that the liver is feeling a lot better, let's take a look at the pancreas. And I want you to focus now on the pancreas and tell me what's happening.
It's yellow. It's sick.
All right.
It's affected by the acidity of the body.
Good. I'm going to count from 1 to 3. When I get to number 3, let me speak with pancreas. 1, 2, and 3. Switch. Pancreas, what is it that's happening with you?
Toxins in the lymphatic system.
Yes. And how is that affecting you?
It's inhibiting. It's inhibiting the release of digestive enzymes.
All right. Very good. So, pancreas, I'm going to do the same thing that I did to the liver. I'm going to be using the energetic vibrations to begin to release those toxins now so that you can release the bile, you can release all of the enzymes there. Each time I strike it, it'll be cleaning it up, just like when you would do a cleanup in the ocean when it has all of those toxins. Here we go. Notice what's happening.
There's a black tendril around the pancreas. It's affecting that.
Very good. I'm going to strike it again, and let's begin to release that blackness around it. And tell me what's happening.
It's vibrating off, like forcing it to retreat.
I'm going to strike it again, and this time I want you to send the pancreas love so it can release all of those toxins. What's happening?
It's a lot less, has a lot less of an influence, but it's still there at like the base of the pancreas where it attaches to the body.
Does it need one more vibration?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Let it go. Breathe it out. How does it look now?
Much better. It'll take definitely some time to integrate because Evan has a hard time letting that go.
Very good. And now that all of those toxins have been released, I want you to focus on the stomach now that has received all of those toxins. And I'm going to count from 1 to 3. Let me speak with the stomach. 1, 2, and 3. Stomach, you have been in a lot of agony for a long time. What's happening with you?
Lots of damage from alcohol.
I want you to look at the lining of your cells. What does it look like?
It's been regenerated a little bit from good habits, but there is a deep cellular damage in the lymphatic system.
All right. So I'm going to use the frequency for the stomach now. And just like on that spaceship where the light regenerated all of those cells, we're going to begin to release all of those cells that are damaged. Just release them and begin to grow the new cells. Only the healthy cells. Releasing the toxins, releasing the dead cells. Here we go. Release it out. And on the next strike, I want you to just imagine yourself flushing out all of that deadness from in there, almost as if you were taking a big fire hose and releasing it. And tell me what's happening.
The stomach is and has been ready to heal for a while.
All right. So on the next strike, I want you to go ahead and flood the stomach with love. Asking the stomach for forgiveness for holding this anger in there. For giving it so much alcohol that it hurt it. Go ahead. And as you look at the stomach now, what does it look like?
Much better. Like the mucosa lining is going to quickly start regenerating.
Very good. And now that we understand that all of this anger was affecting the liver, the pancreas, the stomach, I want you to notice how this anger affected the lungs. The lungs that are responsible for taking in nourishing air, taking it into the bloodstream, oxygenating all of the organs and releasing the toxins. What do the lungs look like?
There's some blackness in the lungs from marijuana use.
What else do you know?
They're also a little acidic.
All right, very good. So I'm going to count from 1 to 3. Let me speak with the lungs. 1, 2, and 3. Lungs, can you explain to me what's happened to you?
Burned from ingesting toxins.
So what advice do you give Evan now?
Continue doing what you've been doing. There hasn't been any marijuana use in a long time.
Yes, what about the asbestos?
It's affecting the lungs. It's preventing the lungs from healing the smoke inhalation from the years of marijuana, even though you stopped.
Very good. So what is it that you need, lungs?
The lungs need a rest from the toxins. But it's essential that the body returns to a more alkaline state.
Very good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to strike the tuning fork for the reparation of the lungs. And I want you to use this vibration almost like a magnet to begin to retrieve all of those little pieces of toxins that are caught up in your lining. And I want you to begin to use the breath to exhale all of those toxins. So while I strike this tuning fork, I want you to just breathe very deeply and with force and begin to expel all of those toxins. And with the next strike, I want you to begin to cough out anything that you've been holding on from this lifetime or another lifetime in which your lungs were singed. Get it out. Cough it out. Get it all out. Don't leave any of it in. And with the third strike, I want you to come up with a color that represents healing for those lungs. What color would you like to use?
Blue.
Blue. So I'd like for you to go ahead and see that blue beginning to enter your lungs with the vibrations and heal the lining. Tell me what your lungs look like now.
The cool blue is cooling them.
Mm-hmm.
They were inflamed.
Very good, very good. So let's take a look now at the rest of this body. I want you to scan this body and tell me what this body is feeling at this moment.
There's still some pain in the pancreas.
Mm-hmm. Find out what that is.
Comes from the area.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I want you to focus on that pain in the pancreas. And I'm going to count from 1 to 5, and I want you to go ahead and focus in even more profoundly. And when I get to number 5, we're going to go to the origin of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Where are you?
On a planet, very advanced, beautiful planet, lots of white structures, in a city that's built in a circle. Everything, all the buildings and the whole area is like a circle. And I'm a being, tall, slender, like a warrior.
Yes. What is your responsibility in this city?
I'm trained. I'm like an elite, warrior in the tasked with the protection of the city.
Very good. So what happens in this city?
It was attacked. And basically everybody that I knew was killed.
What about you?
I survived. There was just too much. There was too many. There was explosions everywhere. It didn't matter how well trained I was. There was absolutely nothing I could do.
Yes.
And eventually I took my own life.
So I want you to notice now all of this feeling that you have, this being in this place, having been well trained and not been able to protect your people. How is this now affecting the lifetime of Evan?
There's a deep sadness.
Yes.
And
yes.
And just a zero tolerance for injustice.
So notice when there is zero tolerance and injustice, and you feel that deep sadness, what does that make you do in the lifetime of Evan?
Withdrawn.
Yes.
And doesn't open up or connect with other people.
And when you feel this way, this deep sadness where you withdraw, what does it keep you from doing?
Living life, living to the fullest potential.
Yes. Yes. So I want you to notice how this is affecting Evan. Can you forgive yourself for bringing with you this sadness?
Yes.
Notice how it's been affecting you, this wanting to take your own life because of this zero tolerance that you have for others, for circumstances. Notice how that's affecting everything in Evan's life.
He feels alone. Like nobody would want to. Self-worth issues.
Very good. So let's do something. I want you to go to the soul of that warrior that took his own life and find out where that soul is.
He's still there.
Still there. So I'd like for you to talk to him right now. Tell him what you need for him to hear.
It wasn't your fault. It was actually meant to be. And you were meant to experience that.
Yes.
And it's okay. You didn't fail.
Very good. So the soul of this warrior, I want you to go ahead and I want you to tell those Dracos, those reptilians, everything that you have been holding in for all this time. I want you to insult them. I want you to yell at them, whatever it is that you need to say about what they have been doing to you throughout lifetimes. Go ahead. Get it out.
I hold no anger towards you. It has kept me back for a long time. I forgive you, and I understand why you choose to learn that way as well. I hold no hard feelings anymore.
Good. So with that now, I want you to open your arms and ask them to give you back your energy. Demand it back.
Give me back my energy.
Now.
Right now.
Open your arms and receive it. Put it back where it belongs. Where is this energy going?
Right into my stomach.
Mm-hmm. Put it back.
Right back to the wound.
Mm-hmm. Feel that energy which is yours, where it belongs. And with this energy, you can now heal. It is rightfully yours. It belongs to your soul. And now that you have your energy back, we're going to take that soul out of that place, out of that planet where it no longer needs to be trapped. I want you to talk to the soul and take it back to the light with you. Take it home and tell me when you're there.
Come back to the light.
Mm-hmm. And tell me when you've gotten there.
It's there.
Very good. So now that your soul is there, I want you to pick a color that represents healing for this soul, so that it could live finally, peacefully, knowing that it did what it needed to do and no longer needs to spread its sadness, spread its anger. What color would you like to bathe this soul in?
White.
Beautiful. So I'm going to strike this tuning fork, and I want you to bathe this soul in white light. And as you cover the soul in light, breathe that light in into every cell of your body. Exhale and breathe in more. Breathe it into every organ, every muscle, every bone. This is divine white light. And wrap yourself like a beautiful white blanket in white. And just release anything that no longer you need in that body, mind, and spirit. And with that, I'd like to ask, what is the purpose of Evan being here in this time? Feeling this all over again. Why did he need to experience all these heartaches again?
Because he's stronger now than even when he was on Lyra.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll be able to do it in this life.
Yes. What was the purpose of him being here? Why did he come to this one?
To spread strength to other people who feel like they can't do things or
Mm-hmm.
can't be their best.
Yes.
He pumps them up.
Mm-hmm.
Makes them feel it.
Yes. So the relationship that he's in, all of the different relationships, what has been his purpose in those relationships?
Karma.
Mm-hmm.
Working through different lifetimes
Yes.
of karma.
Very good. So in a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 3. And when I get to number 3, I want you to go ahead and focus on the karma of the recent relationship. And I want you to be able to see her and see what was happening in that other lifetime that you needed to relive now. 1, 2, and 3. Notice where you are.
$1800s.
Yes.
Late 1800s.
Are you male or female there?
Male.
Yes. What's happened?
My families, all of them are sick.
Yes.
We all have typhoid fever, flu,
Yes.
and I have 2 kids, a boy and a girl.
Look into their eyes. Do you recognize those eyes?
Yeah. And they both died.
Yes. Did you make any vows?
I just feel like I helpless, like I failed them. And I lived and they all died.
Yes. So in the lifetime now of Evan, what are you choosing to experience in this lifetime in order to balance that karma?
Just be a positive role model and teach people love.
And this illness that Evan has been carrying around, what does it have to do with that lifetime in the 1800s?
It's a sadness.
Yes. Do we need to carry that sadness any longer?
No.
No. So I want you to talk to that soul. And I want you to explain to him that there is no death. That those lives continued. That you recognize them now. And they are happy. And that he doesn't need to carry that sadness any longer. Ask him if he will forgive himself for holding on to this for so long. Go ahead and talk to him.
You didn't fail. You tried your best. You were also sick. Your wife was also sick. And the time period, there was no technology to help out. You were meant to experience that.
So I want you to take him out of that. Release him from that. And take him to the light. And notice who is in the light there waiting for him.
My grandmother. And my family.
Yes. And notice if there's any agreement that this family made to come back into this one once again.
Yeah. We'll do this again.
Yes.
We'll make it better.
Good. Do we need to hold on to that sadness any longer?
No.
No. So select a color that will release the sadness. What color is that?
Orange.
Beautiful. I'm going to strike the tuning fork for orange, and I want you to go ahead and release the sadness once and for all. Release the tension of it. Release the heaviness of it. Allow it to just be released like effervescent bubbles. And notice how that is affecting your body now.
It affects the stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Feels lighter, less tense.
Very good. Very good. So with that feeling now of lightness, I want you to look back at all of the things that have happened in Evan's life recently and see it from a different perspective, a higher perspective. What advice do you need to give Evan about all of this?
Use it to better yourself in a way that is positive, and share your strength with as many people as you can.
Wonderful.
Let these harder times allow you the contrast to what is to come.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good. And with that, I'd like for you to go ahead and look at the spine and tell me what's going on with the spine. Where is that coming from?
Comes from a past life.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to count from 1 to 3. When I get to number 3, you will be in that life. And I want you to intensify the feeling now in that spine. 1. Feel that feeling in the spine. 2. That pain in that body. 3. Intensify the pain. 4. And 5. Where are you?
Middle East, Afghanistan, or Syria.
What's happening?
I am a man who speaks to others.
Mm-hmm.
I try to expose corruption in the government in the government. It's not a government like now, but it's a for the area. There's like a government.
Yes. What year is this?
Early 1600.
Yes.
And I made them mad. I am exposing a lot of the corruption that's going on, and I'm kind of a quiet person, but people listen to me and they're drawn to me when I speak.
Very good. So I want you to advance now to the next important scene. What happens?
They hung me up by my feet, and they stabbed me in the back, in the lower back, with a short bladed knife. And they left me there for days.
All right. And go to the last thought that your mind has before that body dies.
I never gave in.
Very good. Very good.
I never told them what they wanted.
Very good. So now, out of all of this that you've just experienced, what's been the most difficult part of all of this?
The physical pain was nothing like I've ever experienced,
Yes.
and it fractured me a little bit.
Yes. Very good. Very good. And when you're feeling all of this physical pain, how is this affecting now the life of Evan?
It affects the root chakra.
Yes. What happens to the root chakra when you're feeling all this pain?
There's physical pain in the same area,
Yes.
but also that lifetime of the speaker, he never felt safe. He
Yes.
always knew that they were going to come eventually. So
So how's that affecting Evan now in speaking his truth? What does it make him do?
it causes some fear of the unknown.
Yes.
Thoughts of what should I be doing, and not feeling in a safe place. Not in, you feel safe, but not in a like I'm set for life kind of way. Like there's feels like he doesn't know where he should be headed. It keeps him stuck.
Very good. So let's go now to that place where that soul is stuck, where it's reliving that fractured experience of being hanged by the foot. And I want you to talk to that soul and tell him whatever he needs to hear.
You did exactly what you set out to do in that life. You reached the people you were meant to reach, and the soul feels that aspect feels complete, but there was just a lot of fear in that life.
Yes.
But you need to return to the light.
Very good. So can he forgive himself now for holding on to that moment in time and not releasing it?
Yes.
Go ahead and request that all of those that harmed him return his energy. Demand it back.
Give it back.
Open your arms and receive it. And notice where the energy goes.
To the base of the spine.
Very good. So begin to retrieve that soul from that experience and take him to the light. And tell me when you're there.
We're there.
What color do you select to heal the soul from this experience?
Yellow.
Beautiful. So as I strike the tuning fork, I want you to just envision the soul being bathed in yellow light. Breathe it in. Feel every cell of the body being filled with this yellow light. Allow the soul to be wrapped up in it. And now acknowledging that with the death of that body, the experience is over. You can now repair the spine. You can now walk tall. There's nothing keeping you from speaking your truth. And now, I want you to scan this body and tell me how this body feels.
Feels a lot lighter.
Is there anything else that the soul needs to heal, or do you feel that we are complete for today?
We're complete for today.
Very good. 5 wide awake, completely alert, feeling wonderful all over.
Man. You know, I had some worry that I wouldn't be able to do that, and it's crazy how easy that was.
So, how did it feel to be in hypnosis?
It didn't. You're right. It didn't feel like sleeping. It felt exactly like a daydream. I was there the entire time. Things were coming in the beginning. I thought I was like making it up, just like you said. But then I really started to I saw my sister, and I really saw these people and felt these emotions. And when we got to that Lyria point, I actually started crying. I can't believe that, how intense I felt those emotions.
So, do you realize how that was affecting your body?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And when we were going through it, I could feel the physical sensations in the body, like where it was and things like that.
Wonderful. And you have the recording of this, that anytime you go back there and you're going to once again activate those vibrations. How long do you think it was, without cheating?
I
How
would
long
say
did it feel?
45 minutes.
Oh, yeah, it's a little bit longer.
Oh, okay.
An hour
A
and
lot longer.
47 minutes.
Holy moly. Wow. I can't believe that. Wow. Yeah, it was good. I really felt that.
Good, good. So, is this something you want to share or you want to keep private?
No, sure, you can share it. I don't mind.
Okay, good. So, since we're going to share it, tell everybody where you are. Where are you physically?
I'm in Sleepy Hollow, New York.
Yeah. And so, what do you recommend for other people who are hesitant about hypnosis because they think they cannot be hypnotized. What do you say to those folks? I get a lot of those people
Yeah.
asking me that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm somebody who can't even really meditate or very deeply, and I honestly didn't think I was going to be able to do this. The best advice I can give you is whatever comes to your mind, just say it. Like,
That's
doesn't
it.
matter how ridiculous, if it's just a color, because a lot of the times I would see a color and then you would ask me a question and then it would like bring it out and then I would be able to see
Yeah.
pictures and things like that. But yeah, definitely just let it out.
Wonderful. And the reason why you wanted the session was basically all about your stomach, your digestive system. So just so to let everybody know, we were working about the body.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
does it all make sense to you now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all of those lives, almost all of them had something to do with the stomach or the
Yeah.
spine.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
It was great. So I want to just let everybody know that if you want a session with me, just go to my website, albaweinman.com. Sign up for my newsletter. It comes out once a month. And Evan, you were supposed to have a session with me a long, long time ago.
Right before the pandemic.
Right. And it just so happens that, I've gotten a lot of more training since we were supposed to do a session. So it just so happens that I would not have been able to do the session the way I did today because of the extra techniques that I've been using.
And I wouldn't have been divorced.
That's right.
So we
Well,
healed that too.
you come to a session when we are both ready. That's basically it. I wasn't using tuning forks, and I think those were instrumental today in releasing some of that. So for those that are listening, don't worry about when it is you're supposed to see me because it's going to be the right timing. It's going to be the perfect timing, and I think you
Absolutely.
realize that today.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You didn't want to do an online session,
No, yeah, I didn't think I'd be able to do it.
and
Here I
look,
am.
look how great it was. Great.
Yep.
So I want to thank everybody for watching, and I hope I get to meet you sometime soon. Thank you. Bye bye.